Hello, my name is Carol, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful cushion cover. It's an envelope cushion cover, and what makes it an envelope cushion cover is that you can flip the back open, and here's your pillow. You put your pillow in, you flip it back again over your pillow, and your pillow is nice and secured in your cover. And of course, the front is like this. So let's get started on how I made this 17 by 17 inches cushion cover. What you will need for this project are your markers, your darning needle, your scissors, a measurement tape, a pen, something for you to write your measurement on, which of course I have this card, your yarn. The yarn I'm using is by Karen Simply Soft. It's a lavender blue and it's machine washable, so then I can always remove my cover from my pillow and then throw it on the washing machine on the gentle cycle per the instructions. I will make sure I don't iron it, and I will not bleach it per the instructions on the label. And then of course I'm using a 4mm hook, and the reason why I'm using a 4mm hook, not a 5mm hook as my yarn stated, is because I want to crochet a little smaller, so I'm using the 4mm hook. Then by all means you need to have the pillow that you need to measure the width and the length of for you to get your crochet pillow cover. So let's start with measuring our pillow. There are two ways that you can measure your pillow. One way, you can just take it, put your measuring tape, around your pillow. Don't pull it too tight, make sure it's nice and loose. And then of course write down the measurement you see, which is 35 inches right here, and then divide that by 2. So, or you can take your measurement tape, where the seam is at, you put your measuring tape right at the seam, and then you do the same thing with the seam right here, which of course it's 17 inches. It's 17 inches. From top, which again is at the seam, to the bottom is 17 inches. And that's how I got my 17 inches width and height. I need to mark 17 inches. That's the width of my pillow. Now to get your length of your pillow, it's going to be 17 inches on one side, 17 inches on the opposite side, and then you add plus 5. So the length will be 17 plus 17 plus 5. Why the 5 inches is because it's an envelope pillow, so by all means you need that extra flap to go over. So that's why you add the extra 5 inches. Now, if you want to add 4 inches, you could, but I prefer to put it as 5 inches. So my project, and you have to forgive my handwriting and my drawing, from this side to this side, it's going to be 17 inches. And then of course the length is going to be 17 plus 17 and plus 5 to get the length of my project. To begin our project, what you will need is to crochet 17 inches of chain stitches. To start off, you wrap your yarn around your finger, you pull it through to make your slip stitch. You put your hook through your yarn and then you start making your chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then I take my stitch marker and I mark off my 20th stitch. And the reason why, let's say someone was speaking to you while you was doing your project, you don't want to start all over again counting how many chain stitches you did. The marker will tell you, okay, from here to here it's 20. So that's why it's always good to mark off at least 20, 20, 20. So then you know if you happen to, let's say, glance away from your project, once you goes back, you will know how many stitches you have done. Like me, I know I have done 21 stitches because here's my 20th stitch and this is my 21st stitch right here. $66. Okay, and I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna measure and see if I have 17 inches, and I do. So from the beginning, let me show you, and then all the way up to, you see the 17 inches right here. So I have done 17 inches, and as you notice, my pillow is 17 inches in width, so I have my 17 inches. I'm now going to remove my markers, and make sure you write down how many chain stitches you have done, just in case you need to make, let's say, 4 pillow covers. You know each of them will require 66 chain stitches. You already have it. You already know it will take you 66 chains to get your 17 inches. The next pillowcase, you don't need to use your tape measure. You know, you just only crochet 66 stitches. That's about it. So now that I have my 66, from the second, or in the second chain, which is this one right here, I'll make a single crochet. And I will continue making single crochets all the way down my chain stitch. And that's row number 1. I will also mark my first chain, my single crochet. So I will know my starting point. And then I will continue making single crochet all the way down. Continue making single crochets all the way down, and when you reach the second to last chain, I will meet you back. I'm almost at the end of my single crochet row. I make my last stitch, single crochet, and I measure the length again. And if you can see, it's once again, here's the 17 inches, And then there it is. It's a little bit over, but that's okay because you want, you don't want it too tight anyway because you want to be able to put your pillow into your pillowcase. Mine's a 17, so if you notice, I just went a little bit over my 17 inches, nothing much. Now for your next row, you need to chain up 1 and 2. And this row will be your repeat row for your pattern. This pattern is called for a 1 row repeat. It's very, very easy for beginners, and it's also very fast to crochet. So to start the pattern, you make a half double crochet, and to make the half double crochet, I yarn over in the very first loop. I go through both of the loops. I have 3 loops on my hook. I yarn over again and pull through. The second one, I yarn over, I go through the back loop only. I yarn over again, I pull through. I yarn over and pull through both, well, those 3 loops. I take my marker and I make sure I mark my first loop. Then I yarn over in the back loop. I go through, I pull up a loop, I yarn over, and I go through those 3 loops. Again, I yarn over, go through the back loop only, pull through, I got 3 loops, yarn over again, I pull through. Again, I yarn over, I go through the back loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through those 3 loops. Again, I yarn over, go through the back loop only, pull up a loop, I got 3, I yarn over again, and I pull through those 3. Continue doing that until you meet you at almost at the end, and I will meet you back almost at the end. So the second to last, stop at the second to last, and I'll meet you at the second to last loop. I'm coming up to my very last loop. I'm at the second to last, so the second to last, I yarn over, I go through the back loop, I pull up a loop, I have 3, I yarn over again and pull through 3 loops. The last loop, I yarn over, I go through both, not the back loop, I go through both of the loops. I pull up a loop, I got 3, I pull through, and then I make a chain stitch and then turn. The very first loop, again, the very first one, I yarn over, I go through both the loops, I pull up a loop, I got 3, I yarn over again, I pull through all 3. The second one, I yarn over, I go through the back loop, I pull up a loop, and then I yarn over and pull through those 2. I take my marker, I mark my half double crochet. And then I continue on by going through the back loop, making half double crochets. So continue on making half double crochets in the back loop only, all the way until you're almost at the end. So let's say the second to last, and I will meet you back at the second to last loop. So I'm almost at the end again of the row. You notice where the marker is at. This marker tells me that stitch is the very last stitch of this row. If I didn't have the marker, I would have made the assumption that maybe the last row is here, or maybe the last stitch of the row is right here, and then that is how my sides wouldn't be straight. So that's why you need your markers. Your markers will tell you where to end that row or where to start the row. So make sure you use your markers when you're doing this project, so you can have a very straight project. So your width will be 17 inches from the bottom of from your project to the top of your project. It wouldn't start at 17 inches, but end at 22 inches, 23 inches, because you keep on adding on stitches. For you not to add on stitches and for you to crochet the right amount of stitches, that's where your marker comes in handy. So your markers are your best friend. You want to crochet straight projects instead of it going crooked. Your markers comes in handy. It will tell you where to start from where to end. So I'm almost at the end. I yarn over. I go into the back loop because I still have 2 more loops that I can go through. I got 3. I yarn over again, and in my last loop, now take my marker out, I yarn over, and I go through both of them. And then of course, I yarn over again and pull through those 3 loops, and then I chain up 1, and I turn my work. And if you take a look, you see it is straight. It is not crooked, it is straight. You yarn over, you go through the 2 loops, because you know we end like this and we start like this. You have 3 loops down, you yarn over and pull through those 3 loops. The second one, you yarn over, you go through the back loop now, you pull up a loop, you got 3, you yarn over, you pull through those 3, then you take your stitch marker and you put it through your first half double crochet, and then you yarn over and you continue on going through the back loop only with half double crochet until you come to the very last one. And here again is your marker telling you where you need to stop, and this one will have a half double crochet going through both the loops. Then by all means you turn, you make a chain stitch, and then you turn, and then you do it all over again. So continue doing this where you start off with your half double crochet going through both loops, then your half double crochet going through the back loop only up until the very end. When you reach the end, you'll go through both of your loops. On your last one, you go through both of the loops at your last. You make your turn and chain where you chain 1 and turn again, and you start all over again. As I said, this is a very easy pattern for a beginner, and you continue doing that until, if you're doing like me, which is 17, if you need 39 inches, then you continue going all the way up until you get 39 inches, and then you stop. I have finished my project where I crochet 39 inches in length and 17 inches in width. And this is how it looks. It looks really pretty. And this is the back. Is I can leave it like this and start working on making the envelope pillow cover, or I can go ahead and start crocheting the ends, the edges, for it to look a little bit neater. And to do that, when you reach your last stitch, you make your half double crochet as usual, and then you come back and you make a single crochet. You put 2 single crochets at the end, so then it will turn nicely. And after that, you just make single crochets all the way down. So then you will have a better edging. Now when you're making your single crochet, keep count of how many single crochets you make on the side. Because if you make like about 80 single crochets to the side, then the opposite side need to have 80 single crochets. So continue, and then we will meet up at the end and I'll show you how to turn and then go right around, and then of course do it single crochets on the opposite side. So I'm at the end of this side and I did 113 chains, so I know that the opposite side I also need to do 115 chain stitches. So I'm about to turn, and what I do is I go in, I make 1 chain stitch, 2 chain stitches, and that will help me turn. And then after I come in and I make 1 chain stitch, so I have a very smooth edge right here. And then I continue doing chain stitches on this edge, and then I come down to the opposite side, and that's why I make my 115 chain stitches at this side. I forgot to mention that if you start with 66 stitches like I did at the very beginning, then you know this is 66 stitches, then this side also need to be 66 stitches when you're doing your single crochets again. So for me, this is what I did. Every 20th stitch, I put a stitch marker. So I know I did 20, 40, 60, and then of course my 6 to make it 66 stitches. Then what I do also is that I will fold it to make sure that my edges are the same. So if you take a look at it, both of them match, both of them measure the same, 66. So that's another cheat where you use your markers again to make sure that you have the correct stitches. Now I'm at the very end of the rows. I need to make one more, which is my 66 stitch. And then what I do is I make another one, another single stitch, because I'm turning it for my rows to be, you know, look much better. And then now on this side, I am going to do 113 stitches. Now continue on putting single crochets at the edges, and then I will meet you back up at the very end right here. Okay, on this side, I made my 113 stitches, and again I use my stitch markers to mark out every 20th chain stitch, so then I will get 113 chain stitches. So at the very end, I'm going to make a slip stitch. And I'm going to just close it out. Just weave in the ends. And this is how I normally weave in my ends. I like to go at an angle. And I will pass it in again. Then I will make one more. Then cut my ends off. Now it's the fun part. And now that we're finished, it's time to make our crochet cover. Now we are ready to make the cover. So what you do, you fold it in half, and then you mark off the half right here. So once you mark it off, you take your tape measurement and you measure the 5 inches that you added. And then you put a marker right at the 5 inches mark. You take your cushion and you put it right at the mark. If you can see it. Right there at the mark. And then you take the short end and you fold it in, and then the long end and you fold it in. You take your markers sides. Because this is where you're going to actually sew in now, right here. And if you notice, the edging that I made the single crochets on, it's very easy now for me to whip stitch to close the edge in. Now you can either remove the pillow, since you already have one side taken care of. Once you believe everything looks nice and good, if you notice, okay. And now we can whip stitch and close the edges off. I have a little sample right here to show you how I normally stitch my pillow covers together. I didn't want to do it on my regular pillow cover because I want you to see how the stitches are done. So I decided to go ahead and make a sample and to show you using a different color thread so you will have an idea on what I'm doing. So the sample is green and the color I'm going to use is yellow. So let's pretend this is the pillow cover and I need to stitch up the sides of my pillow cover. By all means, take your thread and your needle, your darning needle. Make sure your thread is long enough for the length of your project. So I take my needle and I pull it through the both ends. I leave a little tail and pull it again. Now, for me, what I like to do is between that little knot you did right there, and I form a knot. Now, take your needle and you notice the front and then the back of your stitch. You will go through the back of your stitch. So this one with this one. So the back of this stitch while it's the front of this stitch. So the back to the front. Then you take your needle again and go the back of one of the stitch to the front of one of the stitch. Do it again, the back. Again, the back of the stitch to the front of this one. Now when you reach the section where it's turned in to form the envelope pillow, what you will do is go through the back of this one, the front one, but go through both of the one in the middle, and then you will go through the back loop of the next one. So that will hold it in place. Then again, you will go through the front, actually my mistake, the back of this one, both in the middle, and then the front of that one, the next one. When you're almost at the end of it, just take your needle and put it through all of them to close it off. And do it again. And this time, just make a knot. So this is what it will look like. Of course, since you were using the color thread, which is green for the, if I had used green, you wouldn't have seen the stitches. But I needed to use a color that you can see what I did. But if it was green instead of yellow, you wouldn't have seen these stitches. It will have been almost invisible. And this is exactly how you sew up the edge of your crochet cover. So let's move back on to our crochet cover, and then we will continue on, which is most likely is just to turn it around, and put your pillow in your cover. Once your ends are sewn in, your project's supposed to look almost like this. What you do now is you turn it around, you take your ever so faithful pillow, and that's it. That's your coverlet. This is the back, and this is the front. Now, as I said before, you don't need to use the ribbon stitch once you understand how to make the cushion cover. Your project don't need to be a 17 by 17. Your project could be 20 by 20. Just make sure you have the correct measurement. And once you have the correct measurement, you'll be able to make any size pillowcases. Once again, thank you for watching my video. I hope you do enjoy this segment, and just let me know what you think. Thank you very much, and hope to see you again with my next video.